Hello. I spent a large part of January kind of getting organized with my freezer and my pantries and coming up with a strategy for meal planning. So I made some blueberry pancakes this weekend. We have some leftovers. I went to the dollar store to get a few things, and I'm also picking a couple of things up here and there because I do find the prices a little bit better. So I got this ginger ale, and then I got some meat on special last week, and then I also have the produce. So I'm going to try something a little bit different for dinners in this video, and I would love any feedback on if you like just seeing the dinners or if you like kind of seeing a little bit into the fridge, how I use what I have, and also getting creative with leftovers. So let's start making something to eat. It's Saturday and I can tell that the days are getting longer because it's still bright. I bought a large bag of meatballs at Costco, and I just don't feel like it's something I need to buy anymore. So I'm just going to keep dinner really simple. I'm just going to use a pot, take some of the meatballs and the Rayo's marinara, use the sub buns that I got, some onions and green pepper, a little bit of cheese. Good to go. I am just keeping it as simple as possible. I also got just some fries and I threw them in the air fryer with a little bit of ketchup. It's a quick, easy dinner, but it's something that everybody likes and there's not a big mess. And I get dinner on the table when I don't feel like cooking. It is Sunday now, and I'm going to take a little bit of time in the kitchen today to make dinner, make lunch, do a little prep, and just put some things in my freezer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to melt some butter. And I don't have a microwave anymore. We use our air fryer, but I use the warming center on my stovetop and I put it to high and I just put the bowl there and it melts my butter perfectly. So that's going to melt while I do some other things in the kitchen. So you saw last night I made meatball subs. So it was a package of 6 buns. I'm going to take the other 3 and freeze them. Going to put them into a Ziploc bag and put them into my drawer freezer. And then I remembered I spilt yeast in here and it was just, there was too much stuff in here to clean it up. So for Christmas, my husband got me a bunch of like the KitchenAid cordless appliances. I don't know why, but I'm so thankful he did. And he got me a vacuum. And it was so nice because I can clean up little things in the kitchen. I know everybody gets their like great big Dyson out, but this is such a nice little appliance. It's not something that you would like do your carpets and all of that, but I have cleaned up a few little things here and there if something spills on the floor. So I was able to clean up all of the yeast and then wipe down the bottom and then put everything back where it's supposed to go. And that's one of the things is when you have a system set up, it's so easy to maintain it. And I just did a little bit of work. So I'm also going to take a little bit of time today. I got these spiral books from the dollar store. They're from Dollarama here and they were $4. And I'm just going to put my recipes in here because I'm trying to perfect a lot. And what I would do is I would print a lot of recipes out, then like recycle them or find new one and everything. And now I'm trying to perfect my recipes. So I had some ones for Christmas, and then this is the one that I have my bread recipe in. I made a ham glaze. I've made a bunch of soups and everything, and I want to keep them all in here and then perfect them so I can write them out in my handwriting for whatever the future holds. So I'm just doing a little bit of housekeeping here right now. I got my freezer clean. Now I'm taking care of my recipes all while my butter is melting. I just wrote some things down of what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to freeze the buns because if I didn't, they just get forgotten about. I found a recipe for the roast, the glaze recipe I have from when I made the ham. We'll talk more about that later. I'm going to make some blueberry buttermilk pancakes. I thought about making bread today, but I don't know. I think it's just too much that I wanted to do. So I usually have a regular buttermilk pancake recipe that I use, but for some reason I wanted to find a different one. So I went to Sally's Baking Addiction. She is usually pretty good with all of the recipes I get from there. So I'm going to go ahead and make them. I use my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients. And then one of the things she always says in her recipe is to spoon the flour and then level it. And that's one of the things I've started to do. So it's just really quick and easy. Everything is organized. I got new spoons and cups and everything from Costco. I'm really, really liking them. I know where my all-purpose flour is. I know where my sugar is. I can easily get to everything now because I took just a little bit of time in January to do some organizing. So if you didn't see any of that, you can go back, start from the beginning of 2025 and kind of follow my progress. And that's really what I'm trying to share with you is why was I trying to do all of this? To make, cooking and making freezer meals and just being organized in my kitchen so much easier. I think it was the last video I did for Vlogmas, but anyways, my husband and I went to the city for the day and we went to Costco and I got a griddle and I love it. I'm still getting used to it because like when are the pancakes done, flipping them over, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, I'm not gonna lie, but I really do enjoy it. I found a place to store it and then I'm getting the plates and everything ready to go, so we're gonna have this for lunch. And then I'm also going to freeze some too. So we've been eating pancakes a lot this week, but it's okay. I won't be making them for a while now. And I'm thinking like every once in a while to get, a liter of buttermilk is really good because that way I can make the pancakes and then make some for the freezer too. So anyways, I'm just waiting for the perfect time and getting them all flipped over so we can enjoy them for lunch, but then also put some in the freezer to enjoy on another day. It's a few hours later. The pancakes are all cool. We had lunch. We're doing other things. And I have a bunch of like parchment paper and everything left from Christmas. So I'm going to use that up. There's supervisor number 1 on duty. And then I'm just going to put them into this Pyrex and I'm going to put them in the freezer. That way they're not going to stick together. If somebody wants 2 pancakes, that's fine for breakfast. Or if I take the whole thing out and we have it for dinner one day, it's just another freezer meal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write a few little things down here on my little brain dump that I did, just so I know exactly what I have. And that's one of the things is when you have something that's kind of easily accessible, instead of having it in a binder and everything, I just put everything on a little clip and then I keep it on the fridge. So I have my freezer inventory, I have my pantry inventory, and then just quick meals. I have the sausage buns, I have the pancakes, and because I clean my freezer out, I also have room for them. So there's everything. I have hamburger buns, I have some fruits and vegetables, and then I'm just going to make sure that the buns are on top and not getting ruined. So there's a couple of things in my freezer to help me again on another night that I don't feel like making anything, and it's just quick and easy, and then everything goes back up on the fridge. So now I'm going to make some muffins, some healthy whole wheat muffins, because I have a whole bag of whole wheat flour. So I will link the recipe down below and see how they turn out. This is one of the other appliances I got for Christmas, a little KitchenAid cordless hand mix, like chopper. I'm still just kind of getting everything lined up. It's getting quicker and quicker. So I had a bunch of walnuts, so I'm going to chop them up. I have the bananas mashed, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the whole wheat flour, and then all of the other things are in my pantry. I can very easily get to them because I know where everything is and I don't have to move stuff to get what I need. When I was looking for a recipe, I was really looking for like a banana recipe on Sally's Baking Addiction, and then this one came up and it says healthy. Now in the past, anytime I looked up like a healthy baking recipe, it usually wasn't very good because you use a lot of different ingredients. The texture would be very off, and lots of times nobody would eat them because they would be very dry. Now this one had really good reviews, and it said 1/3 either coconut oil, melted butter, or vegetable oil. I decided to use vegetable oil because I have it. It's going to be 12 muffins plus a little bit more, and I just used what was quick and easy, and I liked that there was a little bit of wiggle room in this recipe. It used maple syrup, it had whole wheat flour, it used rolled oats, because I don't really want like a cakey muffin. I do want something that has a little bit more nutrients to start off the day, along with some yogurt and fresh fruit. Once again, I'm using my cordless KitchenAid mixer, handheld one. I love it, and the battery lasts forever. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the walnuts, and then I had some mini chocolate chips that were just in my pantry, freezer, whatever. I wanted to use them up. And since it was a new recipe and I wasn't sure if our son was going to like it, I thought, you know what? We put some chocolate chips in it. It'll be a big hit. Now, also in the past, I never used muffin liners, and then I found these ones during Vlogmas at Michael's, and I love them because it makes it a little bit easier for cleaning up my pans too. Now, this recipe said that it made 12 muffins, and holy smokes, they must have been big muffins because I had a lot of batter left over. So I decided to just get like a bread pan out and put the rest in there. So I'm going to bake them according to the directions, and they came out really nice. I was very impressed with them. They looked good. And then I even have a little pan here for the muffins. So anyways, I'm going to take one out, let it cool a bit, and then I just cut it up so everybody can taste it. Now, right out of the oven, they were really nice with the warm, and they tasted really good. But then the next morning, they were a little bit dry. So I'm definitely going to make these again, but I think I would add a little bit more either milk or even a little bit of oil just to give it a little bit more moisture because they were really, really dry the next day. So anyways, quick, easy cleanup. Some of them are stained from before, but that is all good to go. I got everything else cleaned up. The dishwasher is running. It's a very busy day for my dishwasher. So I really thought that I was going to make bread today, and I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I don't want to put too much on my plate in one day because then I get overwhelmed. There will be 2 meals tonight because I want something that our son's going to eat and I don't need to worry about it. So this is the pork loin recipe that I found, and I really only wanted it for the cooking instructions. And then this is the glaze that I made in January, and I just said it kind of reminded me of something my mom used to make when I was a child, and I've been trying to recreate it. So I want to share a little bit of that with all of you. So I have it in the roast pan. It's a 2 to 3 pound roast. A little bit of Worcestershire sauce. I'm using onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, a little bit of minced onions, and then I just rubbed it all in here, and then 425 degrees for 15 minutes, then you put it down to 375 for 45 minutes, then I'll check the internal temperature and all of that, and then I'm going to try and recreate what my mom made, and I'll explain all of that. So I'm using my roast pan, and then I'm going to get this in the oven, get everything cleaned up. So I got the roast on sale, and then these potatoes I got last week for $1.50, so I took the biggest ones out here, and then I'm going to peel them up just to have enough for mashed potatoes for us tonight and for my husband's lunch for tomorrow. And I was planning on doing carrots, but then I remembered I had green beans because my meal plan kind of changed that I had in my head because I ended up getting this roast because it wasn't really in the flyers and it was kind of, I think, left over from the week before, but it was still on sale. So I had some green beans and I'm just cutting them in half just to make them a little bit smaller. I don't love certain frozen vegetables. I always prefer fresh. So when I can have like frozen, like fresh green beans or broccoli instead of frozen, I'll always choose that. And this is something I learned from my HelloFresh meals. There's our son's dinner. He's eating it now. My husband's sitting with him while I'm making our dinner. So I have 2 tablespoons of butter and then I melted it. I added in the beans and then I'm going to add a little bit of water here. And I'm going to put the lid on and then just kind of like cook them for about 4 to 5 minutes. And then I'm working on all the other stuff. Then I'm going to check them, take the lid off, stir them around. There's still a little bit of water in there, not too much, but you're going to have the fat from the butter, a little bit of the flavor. And now I'm putting a little bit of seasoning in here, just salt and pepper. And then I'm just going to taste one just to make sure it's not like crunchy, cooked perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this from the heat. The potatoes, I turned them off because they're done. And my mom would make like a pork roast and she would do it in the roast pan and then she put this glaze on it and it would be brown sugar, dry mustard, and then she put like a little bit of vinegar and water and then she'd pour it over and then she'd brown it and she'd make this delicious gravy. Now I would get her to show me how to make it when like years and years and years ago, but she never had any measurements. So when I saw this glaze recipe, I'll link it down below, it made me think of my mom's roast. But then when she would make gravy, she would, she'd take a little bit of the potato water, she'd have a jar with flour and water in it, no measurements, it was all by sight. So I went to Google and then it said like 1 cup of water, and then you add in like a 1/4 cup of water with 2 tablespoons of flour to mix it in for gravy. So I took a cup of the potato water with the glaze. The pan went like bone dry because there wasn't enough liquid. So I put it into that other bowl. I poured the glaze on, let it cook for a couple of more minutes, and then I put the broil on to kind of brown it up. And now I'm just taking that glaze, I dumped it into the saucepan, and then I added in some of the potato water, then the flour water mixture, and then I'm seasoning it with a little bit of pepper. And I'm trying to like create that recipe that I just couldn't for years. So I had a little taste. It was almost perfect. My rations were a little bit off. My dry mustard was no good. I used yellow mustard, but it's there. It was the right consistency for gravy. So anyways, I was so excited about this. I have been trying to like recreate this recipe for years and years and years, and then I gave up. I had all the spoons there to test it, so I'm not putting the same one in over and over. I was like, oh my goodness, it's almost perfect. And I'm like, I just want to get this plated up. My husband was really excited too, because this was the one recipe like my mom would always make and I could never recreate it. So here's the plate with the mashed potatoes, the green beans, the perfectly cooked pork roast, and the gravy that's almost as good as my mom's. Oh my goodness, I enjoyed this so much. And It's one of those things that you don't realize what you're going to miss until it's gone. I had leftovers from my husband's lunch. I wanted to make bread to make him a sandwich. I'm like, no, I'm too tired. There's the boys are like, anything for us? Yeah, a great big mess. I tidied up all of the leftovers and then I just put everything in the sink, and my husband is cleaning everything up because I had a little bit of editing and work to do, and I was so thankful for him. Oh my goodness, what a mess. But it was a good day in the kitchen and I'm so thankful. I went down to edit and work on my Valentine's video, and I came up and he went above and beyond. He even got the coffee out for the next morning, our little breakfast blend. I just kind of tweaked a few things, finished everything off. We have muffins for breakfast to go with yogurt and fruit. Everything is clean. The dishwasher is running again. That I'm not even going to worry about. I have muffins to go. I have leftovers. Our son had a great dinner. My recipes are getting in order. And as I was waiting for the video to upload, I made myself a little cover for my book. It has Darlene's recipes, and then I had a little oven mitt and I made it green because I bought these from my mom and then she never used them. So I said, if you're not going to use them, I'm taking them. And then I almost like burnt the house down one day because I left them on the stovetop. So I'm always careful with that. So anyways, I will link all of the recipes down below that I used today. And it was a different pancake recipe. I found these ones were a little bit thicker. They didn't use as much liquid. So I have a couple of recipes and it's nice to wiggle around, but it was really good. And then I just added the blueberries. And then those are the notes that I made. It was a little bit too sweet. I need to get some dry mustard. And then I wrote down all the notes, like 1/4 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of flour to 1 cup of potato water. So I'm making myself all of these little notes. And then my goal is to perfect all of my recipes so I can write them out in my handwriting, because my mom did that and it was just something she did. You would have seen it in other videos, but I have like a goal in place and now I have a plan. So anyways, this was a perfect pork roast, like for cooking instructions. So I'll link everything down below. And then the muffins, I kept some out for us to enjoy. And then I froze them in 2 packages of 3 that I'll be able to put in the freezer. Linus always gets excited and he brings his toys and then they get dropped here. And I have the room in my freezer. I can quickly grab them. Last week, I didn't have any muffins in the freezer, so I ended up buying them. So now if I don't have anything for breakfast, I can just quickly pull these out of the freezer. So you can see that once you get it organized, everything kind of falls into place. I have extra bread. I have English muffins. All of the leftovers and everything are here. So I just wanted to share with you something a little bit different. And usually on Monday nights, I would make like a soup or a casserole, but I'm actually going to use leftovers. Our son's going to have leftovers. And then I'm just doing an inventory of what produce is left, so I make sure that I don't waste anything. So I'll be back to share with you what I did in the kitchen on a Monday. It's Monday now and I don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I have a lot of housework that I want to get done. I have my bread recipe and I really, really like it, but I'm playing around with it a little bit to kind of mix up the bread flour and all-purpose flour. And I use my KitchenAid mixer and I love it. It's so easy. Now with Sally's baking addiction, she always says like, spoon your flour and then level it. I do find that makes a really big difference. It is a little bit more time consuming, but I really did notice the time when I didn't spoon it, my bread didn't turn out as good. So it's something I do and it takes a little bit of time, but once you get going, it all works out. So I do it for 30 seconds initially. And then once I add in all of the flour, I let the machine do the work for 2 minutes. I remember one time I didn't do it for the 2 minutes and my bread didn't turn out. So I do it for the 2 minutes. And then once it all comes together after the 2 minutes, I'll just lift it up and then I take all of the dough off the hook. Comes off really easy. And then I just put it down at the bottom and then I do it again for 6 minutes. And I let the machine do all of the work. And while that's doing the work, I'm going to fold a load of laundry because I'm getting my laundry and everything going for the day. So instead of having to knead the bread, I'm going to fold a load of laundry. I had a nail pop up in the morning and it's bothering me, but I have everything ready to go. I'll link that bread recipe down below. Here it is after the 6 minutes. So it's good to go. So now I'm going to put it into a bowl that I just sprayed cooking spray. It's going to go into my oven. My door needs to be cleaned and I use the bread proof setting, 90 minutes. So I'm going to get everything cleaned up, a bunch of housework and everything done. And then when I come back, there it is, good to go. So the 90 minutes, I was very productive. Now I'm going to punch it down. I'm still trying to perfect this bread plan. A lot of you gave me great tips. I watched a couple of videos and everything, but some things you have to figure out on your own. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. So anyways, I did it. This is what it looks like. It's just too much dough for this pan, so I think I know what I'm going to do next time. I'm going to use 2 different pans, but I really like this one because it's smaller. This was coming out as it was rising. It was coming out in the oven and everything, so you know, nobody's first loaf of bread comes out perfect. It takes a little bit of time to figure it out. So if you're starting to make bread, don't give up. It takes time. Oh, I almost dropped it on the floor. Hunter would have had that so fast. So anyways, I'm going to get it covered, put away. I got all my stuff to do. And now everybody's home and I'm making dinner. I'm going to make something that my mom would make with the leftover pork roast, and she called it hash. So I'm just taking some celery and onions. I'm always trying to have certain staples in my fridge, so if I want to make something, I have it, and that will be celery, onions, carrots, you know, having ground beef, chicken, certain canned items. So I'm just going to dice these up, and then I have 2 tablespoons of butter on the stovetop melting, and I'm going to saute them in here. And then I took the roast, I cut some of the meat up for sandwiches, and then this is what is left over. So I took this little $8 roast, and I'm getting quite a few meals out of it. So now I'm just cutting this meat up to add to the vegetables so I can make the hash with all of the leftovers from the night before. And this was something my mom did all of the time, and I'm so excited about it. Even my husband, because my mom would always like make hash with it, and he said, "Are you gonna make hash?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I don't know where the term came from. If you know anything about it, please comment down below. I would greatly appreciate it, because I can't ask my mom that now. She does have dementia, but she was close to my heart as I was recreating this meal, and it was one of those things that I was so glad to be able to do it after getting organized, trying different recipes, and now I'm actually almost have my mom's recipe. So here is the onions and celery, just cooked it down a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in the pork. It's already cooked, but I'm going to heat it all the way through. And this is one of the things that I like to do. I like to just take what I have and just get on the stove and just kind of have something come together. The only thing about this is it's hard to recreate because you're not really using any measurements, but I have all of the notes and everything to recreate the gravy, so hopefully I will be able to make this for years to come. It's time to cut the bread, so I'm very excited about it. I like the shape of it. I wanted something smaller that would fit into the toaster, but this was a hot mess trying to make this, and then I look at this like little loaf of bread that I have left. So I know what I'm going to do next time. So I'll have like a sandwich bread and then kind of a bread for like making with soup or whatever. I'm very happy with the way that it came together with a little bit of the all-purpose flour and the bread flour. So we're going to taste test this, and it was delicious. Very, very happy with it, and I'm using it actually for dinner tonight and for my husband's lunch the next day. So everything is heated all the way through. So I'm going to take the gravy that my mom made the best, and I'm going to add this in, and then a little bit of water to thin it out. Now it was a little bit mustardy. It's a little bit yellow because my dry mustard went bad. I had to use yellow mustard, but the taste is almost there, and I'm so excited about it. And I just remember my mom making this when I was little, and then our son's going to have the leftover pasta. I cut up the green beans and mixed this all in. You might not think this is the most nicest looking thing, but instead of mashed potatoes, I put it over a slice of homemade bread. I had a Caesar salad kit because, you know, we're not having pasta this week. Oh my goodness, this was so good, and I just loved it. I love leftovers. I love getting creative in the kitchen. And this was something that my mom made for years, and I'm so thankful that I found this like ham glaze and kind of was able to make it. So anyways, it's later in the night. I'm in my pajamas cleaning up. The boys, the supervisors are there. I cut up celery. I didn't cut up celery. I cut it up cucumbers. I have bread. I have muffins. I think I'm going to make soup tomorrow night. And then I made lunch for my husband. I have cucumbers. I like making lunch for my husband. He appreciates it. I enjoy doing it. And then I have cucumbers, and here's my fridge. I have all of the leftovers here all organized. I have meat to make more sandwiches. I have leftover hash I'm going to have for lunch the next day. Then I have cucumbers, my husband's lunch, and I have everything I need for the week. So I'm just making sure I can see what produce is in there. Those sweet potatoes, I better not forget about them. And I think they'll make a great sheet pan dinner. So anyways, I know this video was a little different, but I really want to share with you how like the day-to-day stuff in my kitchen works. And if you can take anything away from it or give me any tips, I would greatly appreciate it. I also have a lot of cheese. I have some Boursin cheese. I have some crackers left over too. So that might even be like a nice little lunch with some cold pork roast left over with the cheese, crackers, some grapes. Quick, easy lunch. So anyways, that's it for this video. If you want to see more videos like this, like, comment, subscribe, and I will do my best to have a variety of dinner videos.